I'm 20 years old, living my dream life here in Miami, Florida, making hundreds of thousands of dollars from my computer online. And the business model that I'm in is pretty simple. Really, anyone can do it. But the reason I'm making this video is to talk about the law of betting on yourself and why taking risks is really the reason why any person you see that has any level of success, the reason is because they bet on themselves, went all in, and believed that they could do it. Now, I'm making this video strictly because recently I had to make another big bet on myself to go all in, believe in myself, and 4 hours after making that decision, I got the biggest opportunity of my life. And it's actually pretty crazy how the universe works. When you make big decisions and you make big difficult moves, other opportunities, just pop in your lap. And it's kind of crazy how that works. Now, thinking back 4 years from now, it's kind of scary to think about how my life would look like if I took advice from people that were not in positions I wanted to be in. All the people when I was younger telling me, don't drop out of high school, don't start that business, don't work out, don't go achieve your goals, stay safe, stay under the radar. All of those people now are not in positions at all that I want to be in. And it's crazy to think about, as a 16-year-old high school dropout, what my life would be like now if I listened to the people telling me to not drop out and to not pursue my goals and dreams. So I want to rewind a little bit, because when I was 16 years old, during COVID-19, I was a freshman in high school, and one of my good friends was doing this online program where he was able to graduate faster and get his diploma sooner. And I pitched the idea to one of my friends and family members and teachers, and they said, no, don't do that. Stay in the regular curriculum, take your 4 years, get your diploma the right way, and go to college. And I was like, you know what? Gus doesn't want that. Gus doesn't want to be the regular person, going to college, getting a degree, following the path. What does Gus really want? He wants to be living in Miami. He wants to have the nice supercar, living with the nice watches and the nice friends, and enjoying life. And if I want that sooner, there's got to be a different path to get that. So I realized that, if I were to just graduate faster, maybe I'd have more time to dedicate to learning craft or a skill set or a high income skill that could put me in a position to make more money. It's exactly what I did. And it was completely against all of the opinions and all the beliefs any of my people in my circle told me. They told me not to do it. So I did it. I took a big bet. I took my credits as a high school student, went online, and it was the same platform. I just ended up fast tracking it by 2 years and got my diploma at 16 years old. So now I'm at 16 years old. I've got all the time in the world to learn about marketing, sales, business, etc. I ended up coming across this guy named Grant Cardone. You guys probably seen his videos and his jets and his real estate portfolio all over the internet. Grant Cardone was one of my first ever mentors, and he was promoting this real estate summit. He was like, real estate is that vehicle to make you money, make you passive income. I was like, I'm sold. I'm 16 years old. I want to have freedom. Boom, sign me up. So I spent $2,000 after saving up over $15,000 as a busboy and dishwasher, busting my ass, busting tables and cleaning dishes. So I had a little bit of cash saved up, spent $2,000, flew me and my mom out to Miami with no clue at all what was going to happen in the event. So I get this event, 16 years old, no confidence, no communication skills, and I'm in the back of this room by myself, just absolutely nervous, surrounded by a bunch of big entrepreneurs. And that was the first time I really experienced what it was like to surround yourself with people that were in positions you wanted to be in. So at the last day of the events, I met this guy named Jay. And Jay has now been one of my really great friends long term, and one of my first mentors. But Jay had the supercar, he had the Rolex, he had the chick, he had the real estate. And I was like, damn, this guy's in a position I want to be in. How do I work with him? It's like, Gus, I see something in you that I've never seen in anybody else, and I want to work with you. He was fucking selling me. But it's going to cost you $10,000. And at 16 years old, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, 10 grand to get coached by this guy? What the fuck? What the absolute fuck is happening? It was the scariest decision I've ever had to make in my life, because it was the last $10,000 I had in my bank account. But I sat back for a second and I'd say, most people would say, don't do it. This guy's a scammer. He's going to take your money, whatever. On the flip side, I had a different perspective. I was like, you know what? God is giving me these thoughts for a reason. And I thought to myself, well, what if? What if this does go right? What if this guy does give me the opportunity of a lifetime? What if this does actually end up leading to something greater? Is $10,000 really going to be my end all be all? Like, is that going to be the end of Gus? Is it really? And when I came to the conclusion of like, no, $10,000 is nothing. $1 million now is nothing. So I made the decision. I said, you know what? This either is going to go really, really well, or I end up exactly where I was to begin with, back at my parents' house. So you guys watching this, you guys really have nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose by making that big bet on yourself. So I made the $10,000 investment, and what would you know? I would say this is probably the most, like the highest ROI investment I've ever made in my life. Not only that I was able to get a Rolex gifted to me, I don't have it on right now, it's a Batman GMT. This guy, Jay, took me under his wing and transformed the entire trajectory of my life. Taught me everything I know about communication, everything I know about networking, everything I know about people. He brought me in his circle, and I was able to learn and experience things that no other 16, 17, 18-year-old would ever be able to experience. I got to build his info product, launch his team, be his right-hand man, and pretty much be the CEO without the title. And that experience, I would have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for. But because I believed in myself to know, like, I'm gonna make this $10,000 bet on myself and go all in, and I'm gonna make it work. There was no plan B. I just knew that in my heart, there was absolutely no plan B other than to make this work. So I made the bet. Now from there, you know, the next big bet I had to make was once I reached a ceiling with Jay, I was like 18, turning 19 years old a couple of years ago, and I was hitting this ceiling with Jay, where I wasn't making the money I wanted to make. I learned a lot, right? I was able to learn the communication skills and experience a lot and get a lot of like resources in my back pocket, but I didn't have the money in my bank account. So I had to make another big bet to invest in another program to learn sales. And it's so crazy because when I was working with Jay, sales was the thing I absolutely hated. I just, the idea of talking to people and trying to close them to give me their credit card, that idea just made my gut just feel weird. I never wanted to do it, ever. So it's funny because the thing I always hated was the actual first real business model that I took on that made me my first couple $100,000 on the internet, which was high ticket sales. So I ended up leaving Jay with no income, no job, unemployed, right around like 18, 19 years old. And I invested another $5,000 into this program to teach me about sales and to get me placed on an offer. So I was like, you know what? I freaking hate sales. I don't want to talk to people. I don't even know if it's going to work. But I believe in my own abilities and my own goals are so strong enough that I'm going to make this work no matter what. So I made the bet on myself. I took the risk. And over the last 16 months, I took that skill set and was able to make my first couple $100,000 on the internet to be able to actually get me out to Miami, live my dream life, and be able to have freedom, making over $30,000 a month at 19, 20 years old. But the moral of that part and just that story there is that if I never made the bet to believe in myself, to take that business model on, I was like, you know what? Sales is the skill set that you can take into any business model. That's the beautiful thing about sales. You could be in e-commerce, you could be in digital marketing, you could be in OnlyFans management, whatever it is. But sales is the lifeline of a business. And I was like, you know what? If I want to have the goals that I want to have, I might as well learn this skill set that's going to propel me further. So worst case scenario, I end up again exactly where I'm at, unemployed, back at my parents' house, you know, with a little bit of cash in the bank. That was like the worst case scenario. So I was like, you know what? Again, is 5,000 really going to be the end all be all for me? Absolutely not. Made the decision, and I went absolutely balls to the wall, all in. And I had no sales experience, no track record in sales at all. But in my first month, I was able to make over $15,000 as a high ticket sales rep my first month because I just had the utmost confidence in myself, the utmost ability to communicate, and I went all in and I didn't stop. Now recently, if you guys saw my last video, I actually just recently quit my $30,000 a month income as a high ticket sales rep to pursue growth operating and scaling other info teams. And it's crazy, guys, because that was, again, another very, very, very hard decision to make, because it's now getting real. Like $30,000 a month is an income that people would die to have. I've realized that $30K a month is really where you can have comfortability and freedom. And that's the most vulnerable spot to be in, at my age right now as a 20-year-old, is, I'm living a great life, I'm comfortable, but that's also a very, very scary spot to be, because you can get tied up in the comfortability of where you're at in life and let that take over and not push for the next level. So again, I had to make a very difficult decision to take a risk, to leave that job and bet on myself to grow other teams and take my skill sets I've accumulated in sales, marketing, team development, running sales teams, and finding other info companies that are selling coaching programs, mentorships, and scaling them. Now here's the kicker, guys. It's so crazy how the universe works, where 4 hours after I quit my job, I got a text from my good friend, and he offered me the biggest opportunity in my life. And like, it really could be one of the biggest opportunities in my life by far. And it's just so crazy how God and how the universe works, where, you make those big decisions and other opportunities kind of lay out in front of you. But if there's one common thing that I've been able to tie back to all those different experiences, it's been that there's been a certain feeling that I felt every time. So every time I made those big pivotal moments in my life, there was a certain gut feeling I had where I just knew it was time. But for something, somehow, some way, I was fearful. And that's the hardest part to overcome, is the fear, right? Being fearless. So every single time I made these big decisions, I was absolutely fearful. I was like, well, what if this doesn't work out? What happens if it doesn't work out? What's like the downside? What's the worst case scenario? But then when I sit back and look at myself and say, well, what if this does work out? And again, there is no plan B. So if the goals that I want to achieve, there is no plan B. And as soon as there's a backup plan of oh, let me get my college degree just in case, or let me just, have this extra opportunity just in case it doesn't work out. As soon as you have those things in line, you're already going to fail, because you're already second guessing your own ability to make the first thing work. And you can ask any successful person online. You can DM your favorite creator and ask them, did you ever have a plan B? And they're going to always say no. They're going to say absolutely not. So that feeling of that deep gut feeling I had, it was very common in every single hard decision I've ever had to make in life. So I share that with you guys to let you guys know that taking risks and betting on yourself is the sole reason why anyone ever has success. If you don't do it, there's nothing, right? If you don't take the risk, there's nothing after that. That's it, period. There's no business. If you don't start the business, there's no business. If you don't go talk to the girl, you're not going to get the date, right? So that philosophy of going all in, believing in yourself, and taking risks is the only reason why anyone ever has success in their life. You could even look at people like Mark Zuckerberg or LeBron James or Tiger Woods. Mark Zuckerberg had to literally go all in, lock himself in his dorm room for hours and hours and hours on end, eat, sleep, repeat, to build Facebook and Meta. LeBron James had to consistently work out, go to the gym, eat healthy, and devote his entire life to becoming the greatest, or one of the greatest basketball players, but depending on what your belief is on that, whether it's Michael Jordan or not. And then even Tiger Woods, right? You have to go all in on your craft to believe in yourself to make it work. So I want to make this quick video, guys, because there's a lot of you guys out there that have so much potential. You're watching this video right now probably thinking, damn, man, you're right. I just need to take that risk and go all in. So find out where you exactly want to be in life. If it's living in Miami, driving supercars with your friends, great. If it's in a mountain in Utah, snowboarding with your family, great too. But figure out exactly where you want to be in life, and then reverse engineer the risks you need to take and the opportunities that you need to take on to put you in positions to get that dream life. So it's all about reverse engineering. Figure out what you want exactly, crystal clear, and then reverse engineer everything else after that. That's the best way I can put it for you guys, is just figure out what you want, reverse engineer it, and then figure out the risks you need to take or the things that you need to do in order to get to that point, and then just go all in and believe in yourself. So if you're watching this video right now and you've got an opportunity or an invoice on your desk, or you've got this decision A or B or C, your life is not worth $15 an hour. Take the fucking risk. Take the risk. Do it. What's the worst case scenario? You end up exactly where you're at. Best case scenario? Shit. 100 mil liquid. So guys, if you like this type of content and you thought it was pretty valuable to hear some real talk, follow my Instagram at Gus Nagel, and I'll be dropping more content like this every single week. More raw talk, you know, more vlog style. And drop in the comments what type of videos you'd like to see next. That way I can get some ideas and make some cool stuff for you guys. So let's crush the week. Q4 is here. Dial in, lock the fuck in. There's no excuses, and make a big switch in Q4. What's there to lose? Let's go.